Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and greetings, and welcome back to the Ambassadorial Wing and another installment of Ambassadorial R&D. And hope you all are having a great Sunday afternoon today. And as the thumbnail and the title indicates, today I'm going to be bringing you the first installment of my R&D reaction discussion on the latest Disney Plus series, Book of Boba Fett. And as always, I have pinned the link to the stream in the chat. So if you would like to join me this afternoon for the discussion, hit that link and get on in here and let's talk some Book of Boba Fett. And a shout out to everybody that's lurking out there in the chat. My good friend MB Geeks of MB Geeks Let's Talk and Josh of Galactic Republic Gaming. Gentlemen, good afternoon. And of course, speak freely. Of course, I can't do as good a impersonation of Tamora Morrison as Boba Fett as well. He can do himself, but I try. But today, as I said, we're going to be starting our R&D discussion of Book of Boba Fett, and I will tell you all, I have been looking forward to the release of this series ever since we got that little teaser end credit scene at the end of Mandalorian season 2 with the episode The Rescue. And I will say this first episode, I've had a chance to watch it a couple of times now, and I will say I really did enjoy it. And also a shout out to the chat, my other good friend, co-council member on the Council of One's Mountains of Elysium. Good afternoon, my friend. Good to see you. Greetings and Happy New Year, Ambassadorial and fellow nerds. Can't stay, haven't seen it yet, but wanted to drop by and give the stream a like. And Elysium, appreciate it, man, and good to see you as well. And well, just a heads up, this will be a spoiler-filled discussion. It hasn't been a few days since the episode did drop, so I feel it's relatively safe at this point to drop spoilers for this episode. So we're going to do precisely that. So, but anyway, before I do get started, I do want to show off. This is stuff that I've had for a long time, but I felt it was pertinent concerning the topic of today. That, of course, being Boba Fett. And these are a few little pieces from the Ambassadorial collection of geekdom. And these are things I'm proud of. And everything. I know I don't have as big collection as others, but what I have, I'm very happy for. And of course, this is my vintage Boba Fett figure. It is from the Empire Strikes Back line from back in 1980. So, and hey, Josh, if you want to pop in, I will tell you, StreamYard, depending on what type of phone you have, can be kind of glitchy, and there can be all sorts of delays. It's not that I don't want you here, but StreamYard, it can be very, very, it be glitchy as all hell and everything on your phone. So, but I'm glad to have you in the chat regardless, Josh. And it's been a long time, and I have missed you, so it's good to see you back, bud, as always. But of course, as I was saying, I got this a few years ago at a, well, I honestly, at a flea market. If I remember correctly, it was at a flea market. And this is a book. It is a Boba Fett Funko Pop. It is the prototype version of the character. And, well, I'm very proud. Like I said, I'm very proud of it. Of course, then I also got this also at a flea market a number of years ago. And oh wow, well, before I go any further, Lewis Cox and Mladen Kulik. Mladen, it has been a minute, man. It is good to see you. And Lewis, yes, Book of Boba Fett was dope. This first episode was very, very solid. And Mladen, yeah, happy New Year to you as well, bud. The first episode was solid, but I wish it was like 10 or 15 minutes longer. Yes, but that's the great thing about a good show, Mladen. It leaves you wanting more. But and Josh, unfortunately, I can't come in on my computer because my internet is currently down. My mom neglected to tell me that my current phone has no hotspot. Hey, Josh, I do understand. And hey, like I said, it's good to have you in the chat. And hey, make sure that's why the chat's there. Leave your thoughts in the chat and everything. Tell us what you thought of Book of Boba Fett. And Price is Right review is good to see you, bud. Happy New Year to you as well. Always a pleasure to have you alongside and everything. But one more thing before I do get into the discussion on Book of Boba Fett. For those of you that might remember these were done back in the 1990s, alongside with the release of the Star Wars Special Edition, and I've got a few of these. And this is one, like I said, I think is appropriate. It is a collector's series, Boba Fett. So, and yes, he. If I, it's a simple little flap. I think I can do it. I believe in myself. There we go. There he is. There's the man himself, Mr. Boba Fett. So, and well, he's come a long way since his appearance in the Star Wars Holiday Special, and then of course his theatrical appearances as well. Okay, and I'll bring Price's Rights comment. I'm just a simple man making my way in the universe. Yep, he is indeed that, and well, he's going to be he's come a long way from the clone of a very well respected and regarded Mandalorian warrior. That is, of course, Jango Fett. Granted, Jango was a Mandalorian foundling. He wasn't born Mandalorian, but hey, that doesn't mean we don't love him any less. So, and I'll bring up Josh's. When I said I wanted to see Boba Fett escape the Sarlacc, I did not want to see the inside of the Sarlacc. Josh, I can understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, this is Robert Rodriguez we're talking about here. It is Dave Filoni. It is Jon Favreau working on this series. And they were going to go there. And I'm glad that they went there. I'm glad that we got to see at least some of the inside of the Sarlacc. And can I just say, ugh, just nasty as all hell. And that isn't the only other little critter, well, little quote unquote that we come across, but we'll come to that when we come to that. That we meet in in the first episode. But getting into my thoughts, what I thought of the episode, and so on. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I did expect it to be a slower episode. I didn't expect them to come out of the chute guns blazing. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some good fight scenes in the first episode. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Okay, one quick question. Everything, I'll bring your thing up here, Price. But my question is: Was Jabba the last of the Hutt cartel? If not, Jabba has a long way to go to conquer Hutt space. Here's the thing. All the Hutts kind of operated separately of one another. I don't think Boba's going to be trying to conquer all of Hutt's space, but he's going to be taking over Jabba's particular empire itself. That's the way I look at this, Price. So, because Jabba himself, he had a very large empire in and of itself. It's not as massive as the collective empire of Hutt space. No, but Jabba had been in the gangster business for a long, long time, and well, he had a lot of power, he had a lot of wealth, he had a lot of respect, and well, he was feared, as Boba himself said. So, and I will bring up Josh's comment here real quick. Jango was both a foundling and a disgraced Mandalorian soldier from the Mandalorian Civil War, so that is a cool kind of my question is, who was really in charge of Tatooine between Jabba and Boba? Well, here's the thing. Jabba his headquarters may have been on Tatooine per se, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he was in charge of Tatooine, because if you remember from the prequels, Gardula the Hutt was also had her own little corner of the business on Tatooine. So, Josh, to answer your question succinctly, evidently Bib Fortuna took over after Jabba's death and so on. So obviously Bib was in charge, at least of Jabba's empire, not of Tatooine in general. The thing you have to remember is Tatooine isn't necessarily controlled by any one person. You've got all these little settlements. You've got Mos Eisley. You've got obviously got Mos Espa, and I will say this: from when we saw Mos Espa in Episode One, The Phantom Menace, it has evidently boomed because it's no longer just a little town. It's a huge metropolis. So, let's see price. Okay, okay. I'll bring up a lens comment here. I love the inside of the Starlight Pit. LOL. Lots of huts died in the war. The Banner's comic book event. Yeah, I had heard about that too, Aladdin. So, and I'll bring up price to your comment here. Yeah, it's true. He's taking Jabba's place. I'm only saying the other huts will put a huge price on Boba's huts with his warlord status now. Maybe, maybe not, because here's the thing. Boba Fett has a very well earned reputation amongst the huts. I imagine he worked for other huts besides just Jabba, so they may not necessarily take out a bounty on him to any degree. They may not even be worried particularly about him. They may look at it as, well, hey, Jabba's dead. And unless Jabba has any heirs now, if you want to believe the Clone Wars movie that Jabba had a son, okay, yeah, maybe Junior's going to could come after Boba, but I think ultimately Boba's not going to have to tangle with the Hutts all that much, if at all. I think he's going to have to deal with other more nefarious individuals in the Star Wars universe. Let's see, Josh. I'm pretty sure Gardola would have been dead before the time of the OT, though. Maybe. I haven't done a whole lot of digging on the lore of the Hutts that were alive, aside from obviously Jabba during the time of the original trilogy or anything. So that for me isn't that isn't necessarily where my focus is in terms of the series. I'm more interested in specifically where the series itself is going to go. I don't necessarily see a big war between the Hutts and Boba being the focus of this series. As I said, I don't imagine too many of the Hutts are going to really be all that concerned with what Boba's doing on Tatooine. If there are any Hutts left, I mean, when I say the Hutts, I mean the species themselves. Because let's be candid, the Hutts had their own feuds amongst each other, so I feel like with the whole Zero situation, Jabba would have probably had such a rep amongst the cartels where anyone coming to succeed him would go unchallenged by the said cartel. Yeah, probably. So that pretty much sums it up right there. But getting into this episode, obviously this does take place chronologically after that mid credit that post credit scene in Mandalorian season 2. Let's see. I'll bring up your comment here, Price. Well, perhaps, but then again, with the Hutt's ruthless greed, if Boba gains any more influence in Hutt space, they may try to retaliate to retake back Jabba's power. I could be wrong. Again, Price, I don't see this series being so focused on Boba trying to fight off the Hutt cartel or the Hutts in general. He's going to know well enough not to butt heads with them, and the way he seems to want to operate, he wants to try and be a more even trader. I think what Boba's going to have to really deal with, if y'all remember the trailer, is going to be dealing with various other parties that were part of Jabba's empire itself. So I think that's where the biggest part of the trouble is going to come from, not so much with the Hutts themselves. I think we're focusing just a little too much on if and what and who could potentially come after Boba when we in fact have a very clear picture of who's probably going to be coming after Boba. Now, getting into the episode itself, because I don't want to get bogged down in a bunch of speculation here, guys. No offense, none taken or anything, but I want to focus on what's in front of us, not speculate on what's not there. With the yeah, Josh, that's my theory as well. So, um, what we've got here is both a fill in for what happened after Boba after he escaped the Sarlacc and what's going on with him currently with this first episode. And I like the fact that they use flashback in particular when Boba is in that back to pod, that back to module, and everything that's helping him recover from his time in the Sarlacc. And I did appreciate that. Yeah, I'll address your question right now, Josh. Well, Josh, here's the thing: Mando is getting a season 3. There's no two ways about it. They're currently filming it if they have not already started. So, also, what's your take on Mando? Honestly, I'm looking forward to Mandalorian season 3. It's not a question of if it's needed. I think it is needed. I want to see what happens in the aftermath of the events of season 2 now that uh, the Mandalorian is free of his responsibility, Grogu. They've been setting up the retaking of Mandalore. You've got obviously Bo Katan, you've got the rest of the Mandalorians that are off world. And I think what they're going to, and obviously you've still got a huge plot thread of who's the true leader of Mandalore, being um, Din Djarin defeated. So I do of him taking the dark saber from Moff Gideon. So yeah, I did. Well, actually, he wasn't on a hill so much; he was on the back of the creature, Josh, if you remember, and we will get into that here shortly. So, but honestly, with this episode, they're using flashbacks, I think, very effectively. And what I appreciate is they do this very seamlessly. You start off the episode with him getting out of the Sarlacc. Uh, mm, maybe to a bigger degree than he might want to admit. So, but I still want to see what they do with season 3 because season 3 is coming. So, um, I mean, the thing you have to remember is Josh Din is a Mandalorian. He is of a different clan of Mandalorians, but he is still Mandalorian regardless. And he is tied up in these events, whether or not he wants to be a part of them, regardless. And I think it would be a great disservice for them to not conclude that story, honestly. So I'm glad that we are getting season 3 of the Mandalorian. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do with that. But in terms of the episode of this episode, what we have is them telling Boba's backstory after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, and we also are jumping forward to where he is currently. And where he is now is he's working to establish himself as the new daimyo, the new crime boss, the new warlord, the new crime lord over Jabba's empire. And I will say I like the particular scene with him and Finnick there in the throne room. You've got all these different representatives coming through. You've got the Trandoshan who brings in the Wookiee pelt, and Boba makes the comment, "Well, I used to work for that guy, and now he's bringing me tribute as a warlord." And of course, you get the representative. Um, well, here's the thing, Josh. I was actually going to jump in. I was going to jump into that here in just a minute. Well, actually, right now. Um, then, of course, you have the one representative who is the major domo for the mayor of Mos Espa, and there is some misunderstandings, obviously, because Fennec and Boba think that he's there to bring them tribute. He's there to collect tribute from them. And when the major domo makes the comment, expect another delegation, I would expect another delegation in the near future. I think that's where those assassins come into play. So I think that was the mayor of Mos Espa's reply to what to the conversation between Boba and Fennec and his major domo. Anyway, okay. I'll bring up your comment here, Price, real quick. Funny idea. Boba is gaining influence in Hut space and offering a challenge to anyone to try taking Boba out. Cad Bane, I'm your Huckleberry. I'd laugh if they did that. I don't know if we'll necessarily see Cad Bane, but here's the thing, Price. Again, I don't think the Hutts are going to care what Boba's doing on Tatooine. I really honestly don't think they're going to care one way or another what Boba is doing. As I said, he's worked for the Hutts for a very long time. He worked for Jabba himself. They're not going to care. I think Boba's going to have to deal with other competitors for for Jabba's throne. He may potentially even have to deal with the Imperial Remnant and potentially the New Republic. Now, I think more so the first two than the third. I don't think the New Republic is going to is going to have a whole lot of interest in what's going on a outer rim world like Tatooine. Honestly, so again, let's see. I love the guy. I was just like, please just kick him out already. Cad Bane is long dead by this point because he's apparently in his 50s when we see him in Bad Batch. Yeah, he potentially could be dead, Josh. I mean, for a person in his line of work and considering the condition we kind of see him in Bad Batch, it could, depending on what they do with Bad Batch, I don't know if Cad Bane would still be alive at this point. I mean, he'd be a very old man. He would be a very old. Yeah, yeah, Josh. I have to agree. I don't think the New Republic's going to have anything to do. Would would make wrenched in Boba. Oh, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Gotcha. All right. Anyhow, but then of course, now the really interesting part for me with this episode is the flashbacks and him dealing with the Tuscan Raiders, him being stripped of his armor by the Jawas, which we know would happen. Obviously, that's what the Jawas do. They're scavengers, they're scroungers. They collect any type of tech that they feel that they can sell. And obviously, we know where that suit of armor ends up. It ends up in the hands of Cobb Vanth, and then eventually gets to it gets to Din Djarin, and then of course goes back to Boba in the story. Um, the thing I really found interesting with the whole flashback segment of this episode was it really gave us a further insight into Tuscan's society and um, how they function. And Superior Hero Collectibles, good to see you. Thank you for popping by. Um, the interesting thing for me is I really appreciate the fact that they're really delving into how the Tuscan Raiders function as a society. And now, for those of you that may not know this, and I'm sure some of you probably do, the Tuscan Raiders are obviously a Star Wars equivalent of the Fremen from the Dune universe. I think they were deliberately inspired by the Fremen from Dune. And honestly, if you can't see it, I can understand that. If you can, cool. But I like how the Tuscans deal with Boba. They test him in combat. You have the chieftain, and I think several of the particular clans or tribes leaders take him out into the desert and test his skills as a combatant. Obviously, he's not up to snuff. He's been down the Sarlacc pit. He's dehydrated. He's weak. He's not up to par, and he gets his butt kicked by that one Tuscan Raider. The other thing I will comment on is I do like the differentiation of the costuming for these Tuscan Raiders. Um, it's different from what we've seen previously in Star Wars, and I think it's a nice change, honestly. Um, because we're just so accustomed to the plain vanilla Tuscan Raiders there in just all tan um, clothing. Um, but in this instance, they've differentiated this particular clan of Tuscans from the rest of them, and you see a similar theme in the first couple episodes of season 2 of The Mandalorian when Den is still there on is back there on Tatooine, and I have to admit the way the chief reacted to encountered a or fought Darth Krayt, who was a former Tusken Raider before becoming a Sith. Um, Price that would be cool. I won't lie, and I know who exactly you're talking about. It was actually Ashara Heat, who was a Tusken who became a Jedi, and then he left the Jedi Order during the time of the Clone Wars, and eventually he survived well into the legacy period in the Star Wars comics that were being run by Dark Horse. I don't know if they'll tie Dark Crate into Book of Boba Fett. I think it would get kind of muddied because not everybody is terribly familiar with that particular area of Star Wars lore, except for us hardcore fans. I think they're going to keep it relatively simple for the both the fan base and for the general public. So, and I'll bring up a Lance comment here. Tusken Raiders to me always came off as savages in movie canon. Legends, in the Legends book, Obi-Wan Kenobi, they were shown to be more than just savages, just like they are on the first episode of Boba Fett. Yes, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, Josh, for a while he did. Yeah, I think he did primarily wear his Tuscan uh garments as okay, and Soul Assassin. Hey, Soul Assassin, it's good to see you, man, and Happy New Year, bud. Appreciate you popping by. Let's see. I'll bring up Josh's comment here. I personally am a fan of the Tuscan Raiders lore. If you play Star Wars: The Old Republic, you get to know a bit more about the so-called Sand People, and I know a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Well, here's the other interesting thing about here's another little piece of lore that you may not be um aware of. You get some really good lore in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the very first game that deals with the character of Darth Revan. Obviously, when you go to Tatooine and you have that encounter with the Tusken Raiders, if you go down the right dialogue line and if you have a high enough charisma, you can learn quite a bit about the Tuscan society and how they function. And I think probably Filoni and Favreau and the rest of the story group and Robert Rodriguez, they really dug into all of that to really flesh out how the Tuscans function as a people, as a society. And you see that obviously in The Mandalorian, but you're also seeing you see a bit of it here in Book of Boba Fett. Because the interesting thing is the Tuscans might come off as very cruel, but the thing you have to remember is Tatooine itself is a very harsh planet, so you have to kind of be very hard and very rugged, and you have to be very um okay. Soul Assassin, thank you. I will definitely look into that. I've actually been wanting to read that novel because I've heard a lot of good things about it. It gives a lot of great lore on the Tuscans and on the Jedi as well. So I will definitely check that out. But you know, even though they come off as very cruel, they are very harsh. They have to be to survive on a world like Tatooine. So, so anyhow, um, here's the thing, Josh. Was I disappointed when they did that? Was I like as angry as a lot of the others, as a large portion of the Star Wars fan base was? No, I wasn't necessarily as mad, Was I disappointed? Yes. Yeah, I was very disappointed that they did that. But I think they've come to realize, at least not so much Disney, because we sometimes get those lines blurred. It wasn't Disney that decanonized um, Legends. It was more so the new administration at Lucasfilm that decanonized Legends. So was I disappointed when Lucasfilm decanonized Legends? Yes, of course. Um, but I will say I am happy that they are going back and they are bringing particular elements of the expanded universe of Legends back into the current canon. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Would I be happier if they had never done that in the first place? Sure, of course I would. But um, I'm not going to dwell on it because I'm first and foremost a Star Wars fan. Now I've held Lucasfilm's feet to the fire in some of the decisions that they made throughout the years. I'll be the first to tell you. So, and want to send a shout out to the chat. Also, another member of the Council of Ones, Lord Koj. Koj, it's good to see you. Just saw this last night. Excellent. I hope you enjoyed it, Koj. Let's see. I'll bring up Josh's comment here. I like a lot of the stuff that's come back, like Revan and the KOTOR and SWOTOR. Yeah, I have as well. So I'll bring up your comment here, Price. The Star Wars Legends will always be my canon. Disney can shove it. Okay, fair enough. So, and let's see. I'll bring up your comment here, Koj. I felt it was just okay. Felt kind of lackluster. I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, I think a lot of us were expecting maybe something a little more splash and pizzazz and like really big. But I try to think narrative. What type of story are they trying to tell here? Are they going to come out guns ablazing with a lot of big bombastic action scenes, or are they going to go slower? And I'm glad that they went slower with this episode. Let's see. Let's see. Some of it's strange, but I don't really understand why they decided to bring literally everything back. I get that too. So let's see. I'll bring up your comment here. Soul. I'm happy you enjoyed the show, man. I'm too used to the EU and called out a lot of the errors with the show. I get that. I understand your perspective, Soul. I understand the perspective of a lot of people that we associate with. I get where they're coming from. I do understand it. I do to a degree respect it. But and I'm not going to just sit here and say that everything that current Lucasfilm has done has been outstanding, out of the ballpark, excellent. A lot of it hasn't. But I will be fair. I will say that they have done stuff that I did appreciate, and if there's something I didn't care for, I'll say that as well. So that isn't the sequel trilogy of Star Wars Resistance is my canon. Let's see. I'll bring up your comment here, Koj. I think they're going to go like WandaVision, like make it will make sense in episode 5 or something. I'm interested for sure. Yeah, and Koj, I mean, I understand that too. So, and I'll bring up your comment here real quick, Price. Wishful thinking, it would be dope if Mandalorian season 3 did show how shows how discovers and finds Lord Revan's helmet while joining forces with Bo-Katan to retake Mandalore from the Empire. That's a bit far-fetched, Price, but I respect the passion. I do. I really respect. I greatly respect the passion, man. So, let's see. I'll bring up your comment here, Josh, real quick. I love we're getting a Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett as well as the upcoming shows on Disney, recalling some of the old stuff and giving some new spice to the old lore. Yeah, yeah, I do understand. Yeah, I have to agree with that, Josh. But the interesting thing for me with the whole the whole segment, the whole section of this episode with Boba interacting with the Tuscans is they they're very harsh to him, but at the end of the day, yes, Bryce, that is true. A Star Wars nerd can dream. Very true. Um, at the end of the what I really liked is the fact at the end of the episode, after Boba defeats that very Harryhausen-esque creature, um, and the child Tuscan is carrying the head, and he's kind of bragging, "Hey, look what I did! Look what I did! Mom and Dad, look what I did!" Um, Boba's just standing there next to the chieftain, and the chieftain hands him a cup of water or one of those little shell things full of water, and just doesn't say anything. But you don't have to say anything because an action can speak louder than 1,000 words. That's the chieftain saying, and I have a feeling that that child is probably the chieftain's kid, more than likely. I could be wrong. It could just be a child or anything that's a part of that particular tribe. But I get the distinct impression that that child is probably the chieftain's kid. And the fact that Boba saved his life and, well, obviously spared him, um, and all he does is hand Boba a cup of water and just kind of saying, "You have earned your place here." Well, Koj, that's often how the Tuckens. No, Josh, those little shells that they were actually digging for in the desert and everything contain water. Now, my theory about this, I could be entirely wrong. I think those little shell things filled with water are actually, how can I put this politely? Are droppings from that creature that Boba killed. So, and if you're all wondering where did the whole Harryhausen-esque comment come from in terms of that creature that Boba does fight and kill in the episode, um, it does bear a slight resemblance for those of you that might remember this movie. And I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about the original 1980s version of Clash of the Titans with the Kraken. That creature does bear a very strong resemblance to the Kraken. You know what? Hang on. Oh, oh Lord, here we go. And ladies and gentlemen, give a very warm ambassadorial welcome to my friend, your friend. He's a big old nerd, and we love him. And Big Geek.
Everybody always gets a little freaked out when I show up for some reason.
I'm not freaked out. I'm just
All
cracking
right,
up a little bit.
hey, Ambassador. First off,
Yes.
Merry belated Christmas and Happy New Year
Merry
to you,
Christmas.
buddy.
And Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. Good to see
Did
you.
you
So,
did you and Madam Ambassador have a great Christmas and New Year?
Christmas and New Year's was they were good. You know, can't complain. We didn't really do anything for New Year's. I had to work, and then we were going to go out today, but the weather's just kind of cruddy here, as you probably know. So,
Yeah, thank. Gee, I'm
so,
only 2.5 hours from you. Yeah.
so,
Actually, Ambassador, I got an interesting story to tell you that
sure.
happened this morning.
Mhm.
So I woke up around 6 o'clock to go to Loja, and as you know, I have my new puppy, who's 6 months old, and he likes to lay next to my side of the bed. But then when he wants to go outside to go to the bathroom, he gets up and jumps on the bed and kind of paws. But he doesn't do it at me. He does it at Madam Geek. And I saw him do it, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm up. We go take you out. I took him out. He went potty break. I come back in. I got on LDG stream for like an hour or so, and then
Mm-hmm.
I went to go. So I was in my room. There's
Mm-hmm.
context to this. Well, he came in here. A Gizmo again came in here around, I think 7 or so, and kind of wanted to go to the bathroom again. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then I saw all these cherries flashing. And I was like, what's going on? I thought they were at my neighbor's house, which my neighbor just put up a privacy fence. So I thought I was going to have to
Mm-hmm.
walk around and see. Turned out that the school I live next to, which is literally a couple of 100 yards from my house, One of the damn buses caught fire that
Mhm.
in that hour. The hour I was in here, the bus caught fire. So I go out, I see this going on. I see what's going on at the at the school. I live
Mhm.
right here. The fire station, the satellite fire station, is right next to my house. I mean, I can see it plain as day. And I go over there and I just go, "Hey, what happened? Everything all right?" And fortunately, the fire was contained to the bus.
Okay.
But thankfully, I don't think it would have gotten any worse because, oh, hello, love, the lovely Sherry.
Hey, Sherry, and good to see you as well. And everybody, also give a very warm welcome to the head of the Galactic Republic Gaming, Josh.
Uh,
Hey, Josh.
what's up? I'm trying this. Uh,
So what ended up happening was,
Mhm.
from what I know, being a first responder for as many years as I did in the Air Force as a first aid instructor, I had no burns. I had to specifically know burn marks and things like that. And this pretty much looked like it was an electrical fire.
Okay.
Something. Fortunately, no transients. Nobody was in there. No fatalities.
Well, good.
But what was really interesting is I was talking with them and I was just, voicing my expertise on things I knew and just talking about the burn pattern and everything real quick and just asking questions. And literally, the guy, Reggie, who I guess was the chief of the volunteer firemen, he goes, "Where do you live?" I was like, "I live right over there where the blue lights are." Because I eat home a lot. I was like, well, up until tomorrow, because I don't know if I told you, Ambassador, but my
Mm.
children are transitioning out of homeschool tomorrow to go to my wife's private Christian school.
Okay. Well, cool. So,
So
well, anyway,
yeah, I'm
um,
very excited about that. And
good. So,
so
anyway,
the gentleman actually said to me, um, "Would you be interested in being a volunteer fireman?" I was like, "I'm 42 years old." He's like, "I'm 61," which was, I guess, his way of
okay.
saying,
Well, cool.
"So what?"
So,
So I went
age
home, I
is
talked
just
to
a
the wife, and
number.
yes, I did give them my number, and I'm gonna wait a call back.
That's not what I
okay.
said. I said age is just a number.
So,
Yeah,
anyway,
I think that was
um,
kind of his way of pointing it out to me. Was his way of saying, "I'm 61. So what?" And I was kind of like, I can't really argue. But
anyway,
one of the things, though, is I actually am thinking seriously about taking this as an
okay.
opportunity because,
Well, good.
well, you know me, Ambassador. I'm sorry. I know I'm not trying to take over
Yeah,
your channel.
you're kind of derailing the
I'm
conversation here, dude.
sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
That's my bad.
we can talk about this after we're done with Boba
Yeah,
Fett.
yeah,
So,
we can. I'm sorry.
Oh
Let's
it's
boy.
okay.
let's get back on topic. My bad, buddy.
Yes, let's get back on topic. Anyway,
Okay.
I do want. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, nothing. I do
Okay.
want to say, excuse this. I've been sick, so
Dude, it's okay. I'm wearing a hat to cover my. I need to go get a haircut, so don't worry about it. Anyway, I do want to bring up Souls a comment here. Am I the only one who thinks that most of us must have had an Academy or Bass Pro Shop opened recently? Those test intents were too nice. Well, no, because Soul. Here's the thing: the Tuscans would have taken good care of their homes and their tents and everything. That's how they function. So, but I did pull up this image while you were Benson's nobody messes with the ambassador's flow. I don't know about that, but okay. I did want to bring up
Trust
this.
me, I know. I've learned from experience.
So I did want to bring up this image and everything because, as I mentioned, I think that the creature that Boba fights is very strongly inspired by the
Oh,
Kraken
I want
from.
the same
okay, I
thing.
can see that. Oh God, your screen just
Well,
flashed.
here's the thing. Now here's the thing. Robert Rodriguez and I think even Favreau and Filoni are huge fans of Ray Harryhausen. If you don't know who Ray Harryhausen is, he was like the godfather of stop motion animation back in the day. I mean, you talk about it from like the 1930s onwards. I mean, um, obviously Clash of the Titans, um, Seven Voyages of Sinbad, King Kong, Jason and the Argonauts. The list goes on and on and on. And I think this is a nice little homage and everything. And I think now some people are asking, well, is this something that we've just never seen? Is this an original creature? Is this just something we've never seen before on Tatooine? Well, here's the thing. We've only seen a small portion of Tatooine. So I think the idea that there's more of these creatures out there is very likely. And that's honestly kind of terrifying as well, because obviously we saw the Krayt Dragon in Mandalorian season 2, and we've seen the
Something I
Sarlacc,
was very
obviously.
much something
Actually,
Ambassador I was very much looking forward to seeing one day was a great dragon.
And we got to see one, and man, was it ugly.
speaking of the Krayt Dragon, do you think we could possibly see more Krayt Dragons, or do you think that's going to actually be the last one?
Well, considering where the story goes in Book of Boba Fett, we could potentially see another one, but I don't think we'll be dealing with a lot of big creature set pieces in Book of Boba Fett. I mean, also we got the Sarlacc, which was part of the narrative, which was part of the story in terms of Boba Fett, because that's where we last saw him, was him going into the Sarlacc and being swallowed up, and now we see him getting out. We saw him get out. So, but
Well,
no, I don't think.
I'm kind of
I don't.
talking like generally in the grand scheme of things. Do you
Oh, in
think
Star
there's going to
Wars?
be more big creatures like a Krayt Dragon or something?
Well,
One
considering
of
the
the
width, considering the vastness of the Star Wars universe and all the worlds that it contains and all the strange flora and fauna that exist in it, it's not out of the realm of, of possibility. But the question is,
exactly
it depends on what narrative they're trying to tell. I mean, let's be candid. Star Wars isn't necessarily a creature feature franchise. Is there a lot of interesting creatures in the Star Wars universe? Sure, there is. But I don't. Let's see. Ray Harryhausen had a cameo tribute in the movie Elf. I have never watched Elf, Benson, so I will have to take your word for it. So,
Did you just say you've never watched Elf?
neither
no,
have I. I've never seen Elf,
You both
no.
and
missed
I
out.
don't care to.
I will be candid. I am not a big fan of Will Ferrell as an actor. It's not to say that I hate him. I'm just not a big fan of him.
That's
He's
fair.
only done one or
He's
he's an acquired
he's hit or
taste.
miss for me.
Yeah.
I think Ambassador, what you would I think we'd agree on this. He's kind of always hit or miss. He's
Yeah.
either you like it or you don't. Kind of like, well, it's comedy, and as you and I both know, and as most people know, as we talk about, comedy is very subjective. So
Oh yeah.
Just like
Major.
art, like
it
we were.
is one of the most I think it is one of the most subjective when it comes to forms of film, is
Mhm.
what we find funny, what we don't find funny. We can all find areas of entertainment, but when it comes to humor, that's really where it takes the big turn. Um, one of these I was going to say, Ambassador, is I found it interesting how they did in the Book of Boba Fett, showing
Mhm.
Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit. And as you know, I'm a big EU guy. Uh,
As am I. So,
and I remember when I read Dark Empire, the first comic I ever read of
mhm.
Star Wars,
Yeah.
and you meet Boba Fett, and he says the Sarlacc found me indigestible. And even though they didn't say that,
Mhm.
just kind of the way he managed to get out, kind of really, it was like, how I would have thought Boba Fett would have got out.
Mhm. I feel like also with the Beskar armor, that kind of played into like the digestibility factor.
Yes. Well, here's the other thing too. It's a let's see, it's a very warm movie, Ambassador. I think you would enjoy it with your family. Eh, we may check it out next Christmas, Benson's. I'll let you know. So, well, here's the thing: Boba's armor is not. It's not like Din's armor.
No,
Okay.
Din Djarin's armor is pure Beskar.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's
I
pure
think
Beskar
Boba's is part Beskar, but not completely
and
Beskar.
part Durasteel. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, Ambassador. Sorry. Do you know if the rumors are true that Harrison Ford has also filmed solo scenes for Boba Fett? Benson's, I have not really heard anything on that one way or another. Considering Harrison Ford's kind of attitude towards Star Wars, I would probably say not.
Ford actually wanted Han to die in the first movie, so
Third movie, he wanted him to be dead in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he was considering Han being just not rescued and returned, and after him being put into the carbonite in Empire. But honestly, Benson's, no, I don't think Harrison Ford did anything for Book of Boba Fett. Like I said, considering his attitude towards the franchise in general, they probably he's moved on. I doubt we'll see him.
Harrison Ford has never come off as someone. I mean, if you look at any interview he does when it comes to Star Wars, when they asked about the Han shot first, and he said,
"It's like I don't care."
He's like, "I don't care." He really never. I don't know why, but for reasons, he's just never really cared about the Han Solo character. Indiana Jones, yes. But Han Solo, no.
I guess because it's been all over the news. I haven't heard anything about Benson's. Of course, I don't travel in the same circles as a lot of other YouTubers do. I only look at the trades occasionally. I don't look at them all the time.
Personally, I think if we're ever gonna see Solo again, it's gonna be in the form of the guy who actually played him in Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich. Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a very unpopular opinion. I actually liked Alden Ehrenreich, and I liked Solo.
I've never actually watched it. I want to. I probably am going to.
I felt he may not have sounded like Hans. He may not have sounded like Harrison Ford. But once about 5 minutes into it or so, took my head out of it, being like, okay, he's not playing Harrison Ford playing Han Solo. He's playing Han Solo. Once I got my head wrapped around that shit, it worked for me. I don't know why. I just thought I think Danny Glover did a very good job as
Donald Glover.
Oh, Donald Glover.
Danny Glover's too old.
I went lethal weapon there.
It's okay. It's all right. I'll bring up Milan's
Ambassador, what did you think about? One of the things I liked about the Book of Boba Fett was the first episode was when he gets out of the pit and what happens to him, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
okay, that makes sense, and this makes sense.
Yes. Well, yeah, obviously, I mean. And Geek, we're going full spoilers on this because it's been out since Wednesday, okay. So I don't care about spoilers at this point. So, but I do want to address Milan's comment real quick here. I just read, and the rumor is Ford took a few days off from shooting the 5th Indiana Jones installment to step back into the role of Han Solo, who will probably be seen in the series finale. Well, here's the thing, Milan. He's been getting over some sort of injury due to shooting during the 5th installment of Indiana Jones. So unless he had a real quick turnaround, I seriously doubt it. And honestly,
I'm gonna say
say
Han's long dead at this point, so
no,
there's no way.
Well, no, because here's the thing: Han's not dead. Josh, this takes place before Book of Boba Fett takes place.
Yeah, it does. Never mind.
It takes
the
place
Book of Boba Fett takes place
still
before the sequel trilogy. ABY. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I'm sorry, my brain.
No, it's okay. No, Josh, it's okay. It's easy. It's easy to get the timeline kind of.
Nice to meet you, by the way. I don't think I've talked to you before.
Nice to meet you as well.
Ambassador, one of the things, since you said we're going spoiler free, I mean, the armor getting taken off by the Jawas.
Yeah.
Perfect
Made sense. Yeah.
Made sense. Him getting put into custody of the Tuscan Raiders. And actually, that was something I really enjoyed, was getting that different aspect of the Tuscan Raiders. Because the only time I ever remember ever seeing us get really a lot of Tuscan Raider culture
Well, yeah,
was
I
one in the
mentioned that before you
EU
came
or
in.
two in
Mhm.
uh, Kotar.
Yeah, I also mentioned that before you came in. So,
Oh, you did?
no,
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing it up, Geek. It's okay. Uh,
When
anyway,
it comes to the, go ahead.
well, the thing I was going to say is, Mladen, unlike other channels, I deal in fact, not rumor, not madness. I deal in what is actually verified. I don't deal in what isn't there. So, anyhow,
And
but
I
go ahead, Josh.
doubt Ford would ever even consider coming back into the Han Solo role. And I feel like if we're gonna see Han, like
Well,
on the off chance that we do, it would be in a flashback, like in the way past.
I got to be honest. If Harrison
Mhm.
Ford actually showed up in this, does anybody besides me think he'd just be phoning it in?
He would be.
I mean, that's the way I see. I mean, the way his attitude towards the character of Harrison Ford, or the
Of
way
Han
Harrison
Solo.
Ford is the actor of to the character of Han Solo. I really didn't feel he gave his A game in the sequels, and
Nobody
everybody
did, I
knows
don't
how I
think.
feel about. Well, everybody knows how I feel about the sequels. I freaking hate
Yeah,
them.
everybody knows how I feel about the sequels too.
I
And
hate them too.
well, people. I'm sure the question's going to keep coming up and everything in terms of the Disney Plus series that take place after Return of the Jedi. Well, Ambassador, obviously, they're trying to fill in the space between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. I look at it this way:
That's 30 years,
it
by the way.
honestly, for me, this is all new EU. That's all this is. It's a new expanding universe, and I'm
I would
cool with
agree.
that. I'm cool with that. I'm completely and totally cool with that. As far as it connecting to the sequel trilogy, I don't care. If for people that helps them enjoy the sequel trilogy, fine. But as far as I'm concerned, the sequel trilogy is a moot point. It's a closed case, and
Hmm.
I just don't care. I am going
Well,
to look at I'm going to
oh, sorry, I
judge
didn't mean.
each. No, it's okay, geek. Let me get this out real quick, and then you can say
No,
your
no
thing.
problem. No, sorry.
Um, um, I'm going to judge each series on a case by case basis. If I like it, I will say I like it, and I will watch it, and I will probably rewatch it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to give it the time of day. It was like with the Bad Batch. I finished the first season, but I did not review it because I didn't feel it was worth there was any worth in re-reviewing it because honestly I just didn't enjoy it. What was I going to do on here each week? Get on here and say, well, there was another episode of Bad Batch. I didn't particularly enjoy it. There's no conversation to be had there from my perspective. But
Well,
as in
Ambassador, I
terms
think
of,
that's. Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, geek. No, go ahead, geek. It's
Well,
okay.
I think that's where you and I are in a lot of areas in a similar boat. Whereas I enjoyed the Bad Batch, but I have my reasons why I enjoyed it. And I think what you and I are able to bring to the table, as far as our channels, is why we like something. And what we don't do is we don't just go out there and review something we know we're going to hate. Now, if we review something and we don't like it, we'll review and we'll talk about why we don't like it and why we don't like it. But we never tell anybody, don't like this movie. We always tell them, judge for yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas you have people who do some of the bigger channels,
Yeah, I know.
as
I know
I've been saying,
I know exactly who you're talking about. So
Hmm.
yeah.
they let the hate. It's like everything is negative,
Let
everything
the
is
hate
bad.
flow through you.
Yeah, exactly. Let the hate flow through, and it's like, no, that's not what. It's not what we're supposed to be about. That's not our culture. Uh,
No.
at least
That's
as far as
cancel
I'm concerned
culture.
as a geek. As far as I'm concerned as a geek
That-
and a nerd, we're the most inclusive, tolerant, exceptional culture you're ever going to find on this earth.
Mhm. We try to be, even in
Yes, we
spite of
do.
our
Mhm.
even in spite of the more negative aspects of our particular demographics. But yeah, honestly,
Mhm.
like I said at the start, I did not expect Book of Boba Fett to be a guns a blazing episode. Far from it. but I expected it to be slower. I expected to flesh out the world. I am happy with what they did with this episode. So for me, it's a net positive. I enjoyed it. I
Mm.
will watch the next week's episode, and I will continue to review it until it's finished. Now, if at some point,
I like the
Benson's,
Gamorreans.
I did as well. Yeah, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. They also, Ambassador, I would love to see an R-rated Knights of the Republic series. Well, Benson's, I don't know if you know, I don't think I've ever mentioned this. So, and oh, hey, here's a face I've not seen in a little bit. Star Wars Theology. Good to see you, bud. And happy streaming to you as well. And happy New Year also. So, I'll bring up Soul Satson's come here. Just because we have different views doesn't mean we can't be civil. Soul,
Amen
you
to
would.
that.
Yes.
Well, no, because I get that reference. That's actually from 300.
Yes, I know the reference. Doesn't
I
mean
don't
Soul
it
know
can't be
the
Assassin.
reference.
You've never seen
I'm
300,
uncultured.
Josh?
No,
Well,
that was actually a fun movie. My wife and I went and saw it together, and it's when they're stabbing all the individuals that are still left alive of the enemy.
Yeah,
And
300.
you have Leonidas eating the apple, and he's like, "There's no reason we can't be civil."
And the other
It's
guy's
awesome.
like,
What's so
of course
civil
not,
about
sire.
war?
Just because we're at
What's
war doesn't mean we can't be civil. Or something
Well,
like that.
remember he
civil?
said. Remember when he said, "Won't they kill you? Pray they do."
Because if
Because
I
you know,
die, all of Sparta goes to war, and all of
yeah.
Greece. So
Mhm.
Okay, we
But
got
yeah,
it. You got to get
since
back
you
on topic
mentioned it,
here. Otherwise, we're going to
since
talk about the 300.
hold on, since you mentioned it though, I feel like the whole Bad Batch and revisiting the Clone Wars for season 7, I feel like a lot of that's nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, especially like
I disagree, and I'm going to say
I
why.
disagree.
One of the things I liked about getting that final season,
now I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love every second of it. But
Okay.
I love the fact that we got Echo back. You
yes.
know,
Yeah,
one of the
I did
things
too.
about the Clone Wars was it was able to really, and we were actually talking about this on my stream earlier when we were talking about the history of Betty White. Is how amazing she could humanize things. And one of the great things about in the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni could do was humanize the clones. And I
Yes.
remember when Echo died, or we thought he died, in the Clone Wars. And I remember when Fives died in the Clone Wars. I mean, I remember their
Not
names.
bring
And
up
then,
Fives.
yeah, but
That's the saddest thing in all of Star Wars.
and then
People never.
you get that backdoor pilot with the Bad Batch, and we bring Echo back, and I'm like, oh god, I was so thrilled that Echo was back. I was like, oh my god, one of the clones I really loved is back. You know, you top that with Rex. I just love how they were able to. I love how Dave Filoni has been able to weave both Clone Wars and Rebels into Bad Batch in certain ways, like he did with, for example, the first episode deals with the main character from Rebels and him losing his master, who was killed by the clone troopers.
Yeah.
He's really been able to mash that together and make it really enjoyable. And one of the
We
things
got
I
a story arc
say,
with child Hera too.
yeah,
Yes. Harrison
well,
Dula. Now,
one
go
of
ahead,
the things,
Keith.
Ambassador, I've been trying to argue with people about that I think you were hitting on is stop blaming Disney for everything. Disney is a big company, but there are sections. Marvel is different from Star Wars. Pixar is
Lucasfilm.
different.
Yeah, Lucasfilm specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
They're different parts of the company.
Exactly. Now, the one thing, and I actually talked about this a little bit the other night with Zach Leary, geek. I know you know him, Josh. I think
Yes,
you
I know,
might.
Josh.
That's um.
Might.
I think the three of us streamed together maybe once, Josh, but that's been a while ago. Um,
Mhm.
the biggest thing for me with Book of Boba Fett is this: aside from one episode of Clone Wars and a little smattering of him in Attack of the Clones, we've never really gotten a whole lot of time with Boba as a character just on his own.
No.
The series is really going to do is really showcase just how rich and great of a character that Boba Fett really is. Not to mention, if you've watched the Disney Plus series that it was not so much a series, but the special that they did called Under the Helmet, that was a whole history of the character of Boba Fett from conception up till current. It's a really good special.
Wow, I haven't seen that one. Is that on Disney Plus?
It is. I just literally said
Oh,
that,
I
geek.
haven't seen that one yet. I'm gonna have to.
I think you should check it out. I think you'd really enjoy it because it gives a lot of great hit.
I'll
It
have
gives
to
a
check
re-
it.
so, but here's the thing: we've always regarded Boba Fett as a villain, but why is it that we regard Boba Fett as a villain? Because he's going after our heroes. He's going after the good guys that were everything in terms of Han Solo, who we regard as a hero, and Princess Leia, and so on. But if you remove the factor of Han Solo from the equation, Boba Fett is essentially morally neutral.
Mhm.
He's neither good nor bad per se.
He's an
As he's
anti-hero.
I don't know if I necessarily categorize him as an anti-hero. You could potentially make that argument for I guess. But personally, I like the idea that we're getting time with the character that we've all had a great appreciation for, that we've been fans of for 40 plus years. I mean, okay, I know you guys didn't see this and anything earlier, but this is just a small portion of my collection. I mean, I've got my 1980s vintage Boba Fett figure minus his gun, but I'm eventually get that. I've got the prototype Funko Pop of Boba Fett. I love this
Mhm.
too. And then, of course, I got this one, which is and yes, he's actually in there. It's from the collector series that they
Boba.
did back in the late 90s. So,
Boba Fett. I feel
It's
like
interesting that you. Oh, sorry, Josh.
Boba Fett. I feel like is one of those characters that all Star Wars fans have some kind of relationship with him. Like we all know who Boba is. We all love him. We all in
I'm
different
proud
ways,
of it.
some of us.
Mhm.
Nerd.
I'm gonna be the I'm gonna be the ad liar on this one. As Ambassador, I think may know, I didn't get into Star Wars until I was 14. So I was much later in my life. It was 1994 when the special edition started coming out in 95, and then I watched the
The special editions came out in 97.
97. Sorry, you're right.
Now the
97. I'm
the re
sorry. I got into
no
the EU in when I was reading the EU books and comics.
Mhm.
That was when. But then I got into saw the special edition. See, here's the things, guys. Boba Fett really wasn't that interesting of a character to me at first.
Well,
I
yeah,
really didn't get. I
Well, that's
didn't get the why everybody always brought him up. I honestly, there were times there were times early on I had people tell me who the hell Boba Fett was, because I remember first off in Empire Strikes Back, he's never referred to as Boba Fett. He's only referred to as
the
bounty
bounty
hunter.
hunter. Yeah,
And then you have
well, he
Han
is referred
Solo
to as
say,
such in the
Boba Fett, where? And I'm like, honestly, I didn't realize he was talking about the guy with the blaster, with the booster on his back. I
with the
didn't catch
jetpack.
that at first. I didn't know
Well,
he was talking about the guy with the in the mask.
well, here's the crazy thing too, geek. If and Milan, I don't know if I ever said this on your channel, but I was never a huge fan of Boba Fett. Mandalorian season 2 made him a likable character. Hey, and Milan, that's cool, dude. I understand that. Not to those that aren't hardcore Star Wars fans, Boba Fett could have been a very bland. He's like a guy in a suit. That's it.
Actually, for
But
me, Ambassador, what made
For
Boba
me, it
Fett
was
more
kind of
interesting was actually Attack of the Clones when I
yeah.
actually did it, which
yeah,
is strange for me because I don't normally say this, but to actually get his backstory was actually made him a more enjoyable character for
Mm.
me.
I want to say Attack of the Clones and the few story arcs we got with him in the Clone Wars, like Clone
Yes.
Cadets, uh, the one on Mace Windu's Star Destroyer. Those episodes are kind of what humanized Boba.
yes.
Oh,
got you.
Benzazine, you're going to be in for a treat. I enjoyed The Witcher season 2.
I still have not watched it. I have not watched.
I don't know if it's your thing. I can't tell you,
Um,
Ambassador, if it'd be your thing or not.
I'm not opposed to it. I've never played the games. I've never read the books because the games
I
just
read
the game.
I read one of the books and I played Witcher 3. Thoroughly enjoyed Witcher 3, thoroughly enjoyed the book. I've enjoyed both
Right on it,
seasons,
then.
so it is what it is. But when it comes to Boba Fett, I think they were trying to do, and I'm going to unfortunately invoke the sequels. I think they were trying to make Captain Phasma their Boba Fett, and they failed miserably. Boba
Failed.
Fett,
I agree.
Failed.
Well, do you have a harsher word than fail? Epic fail?
Utter disgrace.
Yeah, that.
Or we could go with totally obvious ripoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We could go with it. One of the
I feel
things
bad for
was focused
Gwendolyn
on-
Christie because she got. I feel legitimately bad for Gwendolyn Christie and everything, especially when they did that tribute video for Carrie Fisher after she died, and R.I.P. Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm. Never forgotten.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
And she,
glad,
and
like,
they have that clip of Gwendolyn Christie talking about Princess Leia, and I'm thinking, watching that in retrospect, I'm like, you got done dirty in the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
They
when it
she
comes
was
to
the
the sequels,
if you want to talk about who got done dirty in sequels, her and the guy who played Finn.
Oh yeah. Can I be candid? I will be totally candid. I will be totally candid here. I think every person that was on the cast got done dirty.
Yeah, but
Oscar
Finn
and Adam Driver
should have been.
And Adam Driver
Finn should have been on in episode 2, the Last Jedi. In that episode with the Last Jedi, it should have been Finn training with Rey because we all knew.
I totally agree.
Force sensitive. Everybody knew
totally
it.
agree.
They screwed it up.
I totally agree.
Well, I'll talk to you guys. Well, I can talk to you about this for a few minutes. We're gonna wrap up here in a few minutes and everything because I got to fix dinner here shortly, and we've been going for a little an hour. I've covered the episode, and I hope I've given you guys enough time to get your thoughts out as well and everything.
Well, you mentioned Ambassador. We mentioned one thing that
sure,
just wanted to piggyback on because you said it, and then we kind of got off topic. Remember those Gamorreans? I really thought that was a great scene where they were like, "You were loyal to Jabba, you were loyal to Bib Fortuna. Will you be as loyal to me?" Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, they said, when he has them there, they refused to stand down even to the end, and they got captured. And they were like, "Okay, you're the new boss. We fought our battle. We fought hard. We lost. Yes, we'll give you the same respect." And then in the episode where we see them protect Boba Fett,
where the assassins come in.
Yeah,
I just thought that was a really great scene. Transition.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you guys this: Soul Assassin, you too, and you have a good night, bud. Appreciate you popping in. I did want to ask you guys this question: the assassins that attack Boba and Finnick after they leave the bar, or the club, or whatever. Do you all remember what the one of the last things that the mayor of Os Espa, his major domo, says to Boba and Finnick? I would I would expect another delegation in the near future. Do you all think that those assassins were set by the mayor of Mos Espa?
I cannot say. I would not say that.
Mayhaps.
I think that is actually. I didn't think about that before, but yes. I mean,
It could
let's
be
think about it.
possible.
That would actually make sense. He was the carrot. They were the stick. The mayor was trying to establish dominance, saying,
Mhm.
"You're not taking over." That
And
would
I
make sense.
and I
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead,
say
Josh.
the timing at which they showed up. Jabba ruled
Mm-hmm.
with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing Boba says to Fennec before the Gamorreans drag him off to the Bactapod, Fennec, alive. I think he
Yeah,
knows who sent them and he wants to get information out of them.
potentially. Well, and Roosevelt
Younglings.
Cavazos brings up a potential. Now, here's the thing, Roosevelt. That's a
Oh,
possibility too. And here's the other thing, though. The
Gone.
mayor of Mos Espa could be in league with the Crimson Dawn as well. That's entirely a possibility. Star Wars
now
theology.
it would not be with Maul because Maul is now dead at this point.
But the
Officially.
Crimson Dawn, but the Crimson Dawn still exists because
Yes,
there's been.
Even
exactly.
without him.
That's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily Maul's Crimson Dawn, but the Crimson Dawn itself as an organization would still exist, and
Hmm.
the mayor could potentially be in league with them. So, and Roosevelt, hey, that is, like I said, that is a distinct possibility. So they
Hey,
they for
mayor
me were.
could
That
the
no, go
mayor
ahead, Josh.
or someone related, like the mayor or someone closely related to the mayor could be, the guy
No,
that
I think
leads
it's the mayor.
Crimson.
Well,
No, no,
think
no.
about
I don't think
this.
it's the mayor.
Think about this,
Now,
ambassador.
hmm
Think about this, ambassador. It
hmm
would probably have been the mayor saying, "We need to do something about this," without,
hmm
it's one of those politician things that we know very well, where they keep their hands clean by saying, "I didn't tell
hmm
you to do this, but you know what I'm telling you to do."
yeah,
Implied
that's
without actually.
Um, Ambassador, I want to ask you about this real quick. I know you want to get off real quick. What do you think about Finnick? What do you think about Ming? I mean, she's a very prominent figure. I mean, she was Disney's Mulan
hmm
voice actor. She was
hmm
on
I
Shield,
did not know
Agents of
that.
Shield. Yeah, she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I mean, she's a really recognizable figure and actor.
hmm
What do you think of her being in Star Wars?
I
Um,
love it. I
yeah,
loved her
yeah,
in
I
I
think it's
loved her in
great.
Mandalorian. For the little bit for what the little bit that she did in this episode of Book of Boba Fett, I thought she was solid. I like the character. I mean, we also meet her in season 1 of Bad Batch as well. She has that one episode where she pops up, or maybe it's a couple episodes. I can't remember.
Yeah,
So,
she's actually. Think about this. She's only the second actor.
mhm.
Both of them being female. One being um, the girl who played
Are you talking about?
Starbuck,
You talking
Kaylee
about
Smith.
Bo Katan? Bo Katan, yeah.
Yeah, she is actually only the second person to do both voice
hmm
acting and
And
play
live
their
action
character
and live
live.
action.
Yes. Yeah.
I do want to address this. Roosevelt Kavaz, who were the criminals tagging the house in the flashback? Roosevelt, I'm honestly not entirely sure. They could just be a random swoop game for all we know. That's an entirely a possibility, and to the Tuscans, they're not going to care all that much. So, I will bring up.
I did enjoy getting more, and I did enjoy getting more of the Tuscan culture.
Oh, I did too. So, yeah. Crimson Dawn came back in the War of the Bounty that takes place after The Empire Strikes Back, led by Kira from Solo: A Star Wars Story. I did not know that, Aladdin. So obviously,
Huh.
we
That must be new EU.
yeah, that's new EU. So anyway, but yeah, honestly,
When it comes to
go ahead, Josh.
when it comes to the character of Fennec, though, I want to say that she was kind of executed perfectly, like a master assassin, with the reputation that Fennec has. I think Fennec is actually being done pretty well. Of course, it's Dave Filoni and these people who have been doing
Well,
you know
that's what I was trying to say when it comes to people saying I'm not going to give Disney an ounce of my money. I'm not getting Netflix or Hulu. I'm like, take a breath, take a chill pill. Remember, these are big corporations.
Mhm.
They have many different things. Like Ambassador and I were saying earlier, you have Pixar, you have Marvel, you have Star Wars, not Star Trek, sorry. And then you
That's
have the
okay.
Disney classics. And you got to remember, not all of these are run by one person. They're all
Sure.
different areas run by different people. Well, like, for example,
Yeah,
in the
that's very true.
Star Wars season,
I do want
oh,
to.
sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Geek.
No. Well, all I was going to finish was the movies of Star Wars and the TV of Star Wars are still different areas. They're different parts of that franchise. It's just how things work, and I think sometimes we think of the name Disney, or we think of the name Fox, or we think of the name of those things, and we think everything is all under one banner. Well, yes, technically, but there are different
subsections.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
exactly.
Josh.
But
Subsidiaries, essentially. So, anyway.
yeah, one more thing before we go. I do want to say that when Dave came in and he wrote off the finish to the Clone Wars, he wrote the Bad Batch, he started a Mando. I do want to say that is what saved Star Wars in my eyes and in a lot of the fans' eyes.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah,
especially that last episode of Mando we got.
So
I love
and
the Mando finale was perfect.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, about as perfect as you're gonna get.
I do want to address Benson's comment here, Ambassador. Can we take a moment to appreciate Jennifer Beals, who plays Costa Freak, the female Twi'lek that runs the bar. Yes, we can't take a moment to appreciate. Yeah, her. I will say this. I think they've done a much better job with the Twi'lek makeup since.
Now, I'm going to say one thing we did not get in Star Wars we should have. There should have been a Betty White cameo somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that because I did a whole hour on Betty White.
That would have been awesome if they never, even if it just been a voice part. Yes, I agree. So, and hey, Riot Kitty, good to see you, darling. Unfortunately, Riot, you're coming in at the end. We're getting ready to wrap up here in a few minutes. But before we go, Geek, you brought up you brought up Bo-Katan. I think I may or may not have showed this. I'm going to start doing some Instagram posts of my collection. But I got this back last year, literally. I don't know if you can see it. It's Bo-Katan.
Very nice. I don't have a bouquet. I did get lucky, and at my retro store that I go to, I did find a Cara Dune.
I've got a Black Series Cara Dune as well. But this one, I was amazed. I found it work the other day. Well, it was actually last year, but which granted last year was just a few days ago. But I'm amazed I found this. But we got the other female, Kasha Reeves.
Oh, no way.
I'm very, very happy.
No way.
You got both of the girls, the
Mhm.
Mandalorian girls. Oh, awesome.
I've got both of them. I've
I
got
wonder.
Mando in his Beskar armor. I've got Cara Dune. I've got the heavy infantry Mandalorian played by
Paz Vizsla.
John Favreau.
John, well, if you're going to play a character,
Pre-
why not play a Mandalorian in heavy armor?
heavy, exactly.
I
Especially
mean,
since it was
remember,
kind of a
he gives him
callback
the
to.
salute. He gives him the salute. He's like, I got to get me one of those. Then Djarin says, with the
I have it.
jetpack.
I have the Black Series of both of Cara Dune and of the Mandalorian Heavy Trooper from season 1. So,
Paz Vizsla.
but yeah, folks.
Oh
You mean pre Vizsla?
no,
No, I
Paz.
don't have them.
Paz.
Oh, was that the name of the?
His name
Was that the name of
is
the character?
Paz Vizsla, the heavy guy.
Oh, was
Yeah.
that the?
No,
Oh, okay. I
Clan
didn't know
Vizsla.
that.
Clan Bo-Katan of Clan Vizsla.
Kreese. No, Clan Kreese.
No.
She says Bro Katan.
Clan Kreese House Vizsla.
Oh, thank you. You're right. You're right.
Whatever.
You're
But yeah,
right.
no, that big guy's name is Paz Vizsla.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Josh. Really
But
appreciate it. So,
there was one more thing I was gonna say, but I forgot.
That's
Sorry.
okay. To save for next time. So, well, anyways, folks, that's gonna do it for us this afternoon / this evening. I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. As always, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment down below with anything that we brought up. I do want to thank MB Geek and Josh of Galactic Republic Gaming for joining me today, and we'll of course be back next week with another installment of Ambassadorial R&D. We'll be covering episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett and whatever else might pop up in the this coming week. But hope you all have a great evening. Hope you all have a good week. And
we are all Kosh.
No, we are not all Kosh. I am Kosh. So, but anyways, folks, remember this. If you love having good discussions, if you love being positive about geekdom, just stay ambassadorial, and you'll always have a place in the ambassadorial wing. We'll see you next time.
Peace.